So today we are going to discuss on jugular venous pressure. Okay. So let's start our discussion. So examination of neck vein has two-fold purpose. One is to assess approximately mean right atrial pressure, and next is to study waveforms. And by studying different waveforms in the neck vein, we can guess the pathology. Okay. So how do we measure jugular venous pressure? Okay, so here you can see I have placed one ruler. This ruler perpendicular to the external angle. This is external angle, and another ruler I have placed at the here there is distended neck vein. Okay, and above that it is collapsed. So at the junction of the distended neck vein and collapsed vein, I have put another ruler, and I have put this two ruler in perpendicular fashion. Okay, so this height gives the estimate of the JVP. Okay, so when measured with patient reclining at 45 degrees, normally about 4 to 5 centimeter. This height is about 4 to 5 centimeter. If it is above that, then the JVP is elevated. Okay, and this right side I have measured it on right side. Why right internal jugular venous vein is preferred? Because this internal jugular vein is in a straight line. Okay, because it's straighter and has no valves. Okay, so positioning a patient is also important. So while examining the JVP, the patient position should be reclining at 45 degree. In general, in positioning patient, the lower the pressure in the venous system, the more supine the patient's position should be, and the higher the pressure, the more upright the position should be. Okay. The overall height of the pulsating column is an indicator of mean right atrial pressure, which can be estimated based on simple anatomical fact that center of the right atrium is 5 centimeter from the external angle. So this is external angle, and this the center of the right atrium is about 5 centimeter. The distance is 5 centimeter. Okay. This relation is maintained in every position between supine and upright posture. Okay. Thus, the vertical height of column of the blood in neck can be estimated from external angle to which 5 centimeter is added to obtain an estimate of the right atrial pressure. So, if you want to calculate the right atrial pressure, you have to add 5 centimeter to this height. To this height, you have to add this 5 centimeter. Okay. So, and in that, what will be the unit of measurement? Centimeters of blood or centimeters of water. To get centimeters of mercury, you have to multiply it by 0.736. Normal values are less than 8 centimeter, because I already told you 5 centimeter is center of right atrium from external angle, and above that 3 centimeter is the normal value is about 3 centimeter from external angle to the JVP. Okay, so it is less than 8 centimeter of blood or less than 6 mmHg, the normal value. And the caveat, one caveat, this estimation may be erroneous in patients with deformed chest walls or malpositioning of the heart. Okay, so before moving forward, now I would like to play one video that will give you information how to measure JVP. Okay, so let's play this video. So here we see how do we measure jugular venous pressure with the help of two rulers. Okay, so I am demonstrating in this patient. Okay, so you should put one ruler on the external angle and another ruler at the junction between the distended and collapsed veins. Okay, and these two ruler should be perpendicular to each other. Okay, so at the at junction between the distended and collapsed vein. Okay, and you have to put that ruler perpendicular to the this ruler. Okay, and we estimate JVP in that way. Okay, and this is the external angle of Lewis. Okay, so at this point we put this ruler in a straight line. Okay, and we measure this. Okay, and here you can see two pulsations are visible. Okay, two pulsations are visible here. If you focus on this. Here you can see two pulsations. So this is one differentiating point from carotid pulsation, in which there is only one pulsation in one cardiac cycle. Okay, let me zoom it. Okay, so here you can see two pulsation, and if you press this, it collapses. This is also another point. How do we differentiate from carotid pulsation? Because carotid pulsation does not collapse on pressing it. Continue our discussion of jugular venous pressure. Okay, so now what are the causes of elevated JVP? So the cause of unilateral non-pulsatile JVP is innominate vein thrombosis. Cause of bilateral non-pulsatile JVP is SVC obstruction, massive right side pleural effusion, and these are the causes of bilateral pulsatile JVP. The cause may be cardiac cause, pulmonary cause, abdominal cause, iatrogenic cause. Okay, cardiac failure is most common cause of elevated JVP. Tricuspid stenosis, tricuspid regurgitation, constrictive pericarditis, cardiac tamponade. Okay, and in pulmonary COPD, cor pulmonale, ascites and pregnancy. This abdominal content push the diaphragm upward and cause there can be elevated elevation of JVP. And in pregnancy there is volume overload as well, that also causes elevated JVP. Excess IV fluids, hydrogenic cause. Okay, and these are the causes of the fall in JVP. Okay, so how to differentiate JVP pulse from carotid artery pulse? In previous video I already told you there are two peaks per cardiac cycle in JV pulse, but one peak in heartbeat. And another point is, if you press that pulse, it is obliterable in JVP pulse, but it is not obliterable in carotid artery pulse. Okay, and other points are, it is better visible, but this is better palpable. And there is predominant inward movement. If you see, observe closely, there is predominant inward movement, but here outward movement due to bounding pulse. Okay, and here there is the JB pulse is variation with posture, respiration, abdominal compression. Okay, so it varies, but it is no variation with posture or respiration in carotid artery pulse. Now there is one maneuver, it is called abdominal jugular reflux or hepatojugular reflux. Okay, it is not reflex. Okay, it is not reflex, it is reflux. Okay, so firm compression is given in periumbilical area for 30 seconds. In normal individual, JBP rises transiently by less than 3 cm and falls down when the pressure is continued. So even if pressure is continued, the JBP falls. Okay, after 1 to 2 seconds. Okay, whereas in patients with right or left heart failure, JBP remains elevated. Abdominal jugular reflux is positive in right or left sided heart failure and or tricuspid regurgitation. And in the absence of these conditions, a positive abdominal jugular reflux suggests an elevated pulmonary artery wedge pressure or central venous pressure. It is negative in Budd-Chiari syndrome. Now we are going to discuss on JVP waveforms. Okay, so JVP is a reflection of phasic pressure change in the right atrium, and this consists of three waves: A wave, C wave, X wave, V wave. Three positive waves. These are positive waves: A wave, V wave, okay, and C wave. This is positive wave, and this X wave, Y wave. These are negative drops. Okay, so what does A represent? So first of all, let's understand how the heart pumps. Okay, so there is passive filling of the blood into right atrium from the superior vena cava, and inferior vena cava there is passive filling, and after the blood is filled, then this valve, tricuspid valve, opens and blood flows in right ventricle. So there is passive filling, and after passive filling the right atria contracts. Okay, so right atria contracts and forces contributes to about 15 to 20% of again blood is pushed into right ventricle, and after that blood is pushed, then this atria relaxes and now ventricle contracts, but before contracting ventricle this valve is closed. Okay, so valve is closed and now ventricle contracts and blood is ejected into pulmonary artery. Okay, and during while ventricle is contracting, atria is relaxing. Okay, so during ventricular contraction this valve is closed and blood is ejected, and after blood is ejected, this valve closes. Okay, this pulmonary valve, semilunar valve closes. Okay, and similar process is going on left side as well. So I am just telling you on the what is going on the right side chamber of the heart, because JBP measures precisely the right sided pressure. Okay, so here let's start. First of all, let's understand this way. First of all, atria relaxes. So atria relaxation is X wave. Okay, atria relaxation is, let's start from here. Atria relaxes. Okay, then after what I told you, after atria relaxes, venous filling into the right atrium occurs. When atria relaxes, there is filling of the blood. So V wave occurs because there is filling. Okay, filling into right atrium. So this V wave occurs. Okay, then there is passive atrial emptying. That is Y wave, because there is atrial emptying. Okay, opening of the valve and atrial emptying. So that is Y wave. Okay, and after that there is active atrial contraction. So atria contracts and forces more blood into the right ventricle. Okay, so there is right atrial contraction, and after that tricuspid valve closes. Okay, and it ascends upward due to the, if blood is pulled into right ventricle more and more, it pushes the right ventricle upward, and this that produces C wave. Okay, so it is the a small positive waves occurs due to that reason. Okay, and again atria relaxes. Okay, and blood again fills and another waveform occurs. Okay, in this way it is occurring. So this is the sequence of event. A wave precedes S1 sound and C wave succeeds S1 sound. X wave precedes S2 sound and Y wave succeeds S2 sound. Okay, so A is right atrial contraction. So after right atria contracts, so blood is pushed into the right ventricle, and after that tricuspid valve closes, and due to the closure of tricuspid valve, S1 sound is produced. So right atrial contracts and S1 sound is produced. Now after closure of tricuspid valve, what occurs? Blood is accumulated in the right ventricle, and so this enough blood in the right ventricle pushes the tricuspid valve upward, and this is reflected as C wave. Okay, so this is reflected as positive C waves in jugular venous waveforms. Okay, and after that right ventricle contracts with the closure of the tricuspid valve. Right ventricle contracts, and during the while right ventricle is contracting, in that time atria, right atrium is relaxing. Okay, so after that right atrial relaxation during this is the phase of ventricular contraction. Okay, and after ventricle contracts, the blood is pushed into the pulmonary artery, and after blood is pushed, then closure of the pulmonary valve occurs, and that causes S2. Okay, so after that S2 occurs, and again cycle begins again, and atrial emptying occurs. Okay, so again atrial emptying occurs, right atria empties into right ventricle, that is passive process, and Y wave occurs. Okay, so this is the again the cycle again continues. So now we discuss some of the abnormalities in these waveforms. In AF, A wave is absent, and prominent A waves can be seen in pulmonary stenosis, pulmonary hypertension, tricuspid atresia stenosis, Cannon waves, giant waves seen in arrhythmia. Regularly it can be seen in Johnson's rhythm, but irregularly in multiple ectopies, complete heart blocks, independent waves seen in complete heart block, and the V waves are prominent in tricuspid regurgitation. X descent prominent in constrictive pericarditis. Okay, and the Y descent slow. It is slow in tricuspid stenosis, fast in tricuspid regurgitation, absent in cardiac tamponade. Okay, so in cardiac tamponade Y descent is absent. Okay, in constrictive pericarditis X descent is prominent. Okay, and Frederick sign is a rapid fall, steep Y descent, and a rise of JBP seen in constrictive pericarditis and tricuspid regurgitation. This is steep Y descent in constrictive pericarditis and tricuspid regurgitation. Steep Y descent. Okay. And Kussmaul sign is inspiratory increase in jugular venous pressure. So these are the cause of Kussmaul signs. Okay. So that's all for this video. Thank you.